It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back as we continue our discussion with this wonderful panel to continue the powerful notion of vulnerability within relationship and how we use that in a positive way. And joining us is psychologist Kavashni Kavanda. She's also a human being, so I can speak from that experience, and Good Hope FM presenter and founder of the incredible Vitamin U, the strongest vitamin we know. Tomorrow Snow. How come every time I say your name it rhymes? I love it. Thanks so much for sticking around and showing your vulnerability, because I think we need it. We need people in the eye of the storm, so to speak, to see other people not in that space so they can stop just being reactionary. And we're often reactionary in fights. So tomorrow, maybe I can put this to you, because I'd hate to cross swords with you on a bad day, because I'm also like that. Like, I come with a thunder, I think, and my family knows this. It blows over very quickly, but I'm like that. What do you need when you come home and you've had a bad day? Do you want advice? Do you want support? Do you want to shut up and listen to me? What triggers you and what helps you in that space?
Yeah, I've had this conversation with my partner quite a bit, because we are big on what do you need? What do you need in this moment? And I've said to him before, I know you want to try and fix all my problems and give me the great advice, and I appreciate that. And when I need that, I'll ask for it. But what I tend to need is just an ear to listen, so that I can express those emotions and those feelings and thoughts that have built up over the day. So just an ear, hey?
That could be a partner's in here. If you want your partner, i.e. if you want them to tell the truth and get to that space of vulnerability where they are not reacting and not just letting the emotional load come out, how do we then create that space within there? Because it's very difficult to keep yourself in check when your partner's hurt or angry or vulnerable. It's going to trigger you. How do we then provide that space and not do our own stuff, bring our own baggage into that?
Yeah. So that's a really important question, because firstly, we need to, when thinking about vulnerability, we need to assess, well, is this about my partner or is this about me? If you have a partner who's maybe critical or dismissive of you when you bring up vulnerable feelings or thoughts, that's about your partner. But we all come with our own very early experiences.
It could be speaking to your childhood, you know.
When you made yourself vulnerable, was it safe? Was it supported? Were you encouraged to make yourself vulnerable? And if you weren't, then making yourself vulnerable in a relationship as an adult is going to be that much harder. So you bring in old experiences. Then you need to look inwards. Well, is this about me, and is it about...
And why is this triggering me to such an extent?
Why is it triggering me so much, and is vulnerability just difficult for me and something I need to work on?
Completely, and that's become a kind of a life hack for me. There's often I find if something really is upsetting me, it's because subconsciously, you know, we were talking about this just now off air, is that it's probably highlighting something I don't like about myself. And that's a difficult thing to overcome. Let's get practical tomorrow. What do you do, say to yourself, when you're entering into that acting out kind of a space where you know you're being triggered, but knowing often doesn't mean control over it? Do you ride the storm and just let it do its thing? Or have you figured out a way, like I use gratitude, for instance, to help develop a positive mindset? But that's for myself. Within a relationship, it's mixed energies there. How do you short-circuit that acting out?
Yeah, so first of all, when I feel those feelings coming up and I feel triggered, I say to my partner, I can't talk about this right now. I need some space. And in that in that space, what I'm doing is I'm asking myself, why do I feel triggered? Where is this coming from? Is it something that he did, or is it something that I walked into the room with already? And I start sort of reflecting and trying to introspect. And once I have a clear idea, it's easier for me to go back to him and be vulnerable and say, you know what, I'm so sorry I acted like this. This is where it came from for me. Can we do whatever, you know? And then have that conversation from that space.
And I think just being practical about it has taken you a step back. So even if you're not arriving at what you thought was the solution, you're collectively arriving at a solution together. I absolutely love that. Just very quickly, what fruit can vulnerability bear? Because it kind of feels like the rest of the stuff is a big bag of baggage that we carry around, and it's generational baggage and everything else. Our vulnerability is a little fanny pack, a little hip pack with all the important stuff, the credit cards, our passport, everything. That's the really interesting stuff. That's the authentic self that we want our partner to be able to click into and benefit from. How much benefit can we gain in relationship in showing and getting to that place of vulnerability?
I guess, simply put, if we don't make ourselves vulnerable, we block off the opportunity of connectedness and intimacy. So if we don't show ourselves, we can't allow our partner to truly know us. And in that, they can't understand what we want, they can't understand what we need, and then there's distance.
Yeah.
So we block off any kind of intimacy or connectedness without showing ourselves, our true selves, our vulnerable selves, which we all have.
I love it. I would suggest start this conversation when you're not having a fight. Just be proactive in this sense and ask each other what you need in those moments. And maybe a good place to start is with a bit of self-examination. Do you believe in being vulnerable in a relationship? Let us know on our socials and make sure you join us again next week for what promises to be, based on today's experience, a very insightful panel discussion. But until then, choose Soft with BIC Soleil. Click 3 or Click 3 Sensitive. It is unbelievably well crafted, enriched with aloe vera for the silkiest results. Go and prove it for yourself.